Todd Menard, how are you, Todd? Good morning.
Good, Mike. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. Today we'll be doing our market stats for the week ending Monday, April 27th. Let's get right to it, and then we'll talk a little bit about some of the anomalies and what we're seeing today. 43 days closed on market is where we finished the week. 2.26 months supply. The absorption rate's at 44.32%. Our average list price is at 570, average sale price just under 370, and our average list price to sale price retention about 98.65. Taking a look at inventory across the board, we've got 14,346. So this is the first time we've again, so we'll talk about that. Our pending is at 4866, and our closed inventory at 5510 for the month. Looking at listings, we only took 1658 new listings last week, and that's a concern. As we always discuss, this needs to be well above 2,000, 2,400 plus is where we like to see that. Our days on market for active is at 146, and days on market for close is at 43 days. Very, very brisk still. Taking a look at our price ranges, our under 500,000 has finally creeped back up to 70.4% of our inventory. It normally hovers somewhere between 72 and 75%, which means a majority of our inventory, 75% of our inventory, is under $500,000. Our 500 to a million inventory is typically somewhere just about 20%. We're not dramatically off, but obviously it is off just a little bit. But we're seeing it return to some of the more consistent, more typical numbers that we're used to over the last couple of years. Looking at inventory above $1 million, it's sitting at 193 days on market. So going to our spreadsheet, thank you, Michael. We are sitting at new listings. As you can see, and again, I want to alert or bring to everybody's attention this center column in gray that we've added. And we've added this over just the last couple of weeks, because this is the same week last year. So it's important to really compare. Last year we didn't have this situation, and we were in the inventory was continuing to dwindle. Our sales were continuing, unit count to increase. And so when it's nice to have that comparison and specifically to gauge what's going on today. So the first two columns are our April 27th numbers, and then comparing it to last week's numbers. So as you can see, we took about a 3% dip in our new inventory. We only took 1,658 versus the 1,700. And again, in comparison to last year in the gray box was 2,200 during this same time. So it's difficult to replace our inventory when we're not bringing new listings in. Taking a look at active, we are sitting at 14,046. Last year, same time, we were at 18,300. And just so that everybody remembers, to the left where it says active, I don't include contingency sales on a contract accepting backup offers or pending when we talk about active inventory. I don't think that's fair.
So you're not Zillow.
Yeah. I'm not Zillow. And the reasoning is because I don't, no realtor wants to get a client excited about a property they can't have. And so as a result, it's better really in many instances, unless it's that perfect property, which doesn't exist that often, to really go into that second offer scenario. Again, taking a look at 14,346 is where we were, down just from 14,626. And if we look back a couple of months, what we were seeing was our inventory going under 11,000. So again, this is about 2,000 to 3,000, units higher than it has been. So there is a little bit of a silver lining. Of course, we are anticipating when we do get the back to work order and consumer confidence increases, and people are willing to part with their discretionary spending again. The market will come back in a more brisk scenario. But hold that thought just for a second, because I'm not saying we're necessarily depressed. Let's go to the pending. Sure, we're sitting at 4866 right now. And again, that's up 7% from last week at 4,500. Normally, we should be at about 6,600. So, we are, right about 8% off. Maybe 10% off of the number of people that are pending at any one time. So again, that's not too dramatic a number, but we can certainly understand it again for those reasons I cited just a few moments ago. Looking at our closed inventory, we're at 5510 right now. And again, we have the strongest part of the month to go. The last 10 days is when obviously everything closes. So we'll see how we pan out. But as of right now, we're about 30% off of last year's number of 79.79, which is what we finished with. Don't go crazy on that number right now, but again, we'll take a trend on that. If you're looking at the PowerPoint slides and you slide your eyes to the right and you look at last month, we were at 88.60. A year ago, we were only at 84.90. So we actually closed 4.5% more unit sales in last month than we did prior. And again, so we've seen double-digit increases since the beginning of the year in closed volume in units, not dollars. And so as a result, we were anticipating the end of the year being somewhere between that 10 to 15% better unit count than this year. However, now, of course, we're seeing this stigmatization, and these particular numbers this week are showing a little more appropriateness in reflecting what's going on in the marketplace. Could potentially be because the things that are closing right now are the things that went into contract mid-month last month, excuse me. So again, looking at month supply, 2.26 is great. We like to see it at 3. We have been hovering at the 1.5 to 1.75 range, and that's really a little too brisk, quite honestly, for the market. 3-month supply is really where we need to be. We're eating up just less than half of our inventory each month. As far as sales prices are concerned, again, average list price is 570, so it goes up, it goes down. It's been as high as 580. We look at average sale price, which is more indicative of what's actually happening in the marketplace, because this is actually what it's closing at. It doesn't reflect necessarily, the majority of the product that's in the marketplace, or specifically the price range that's most efficient in the marketplace. But it is saying that 369,986 is where we are right now. We were at 374 last week. We finished about 375 to 377 both in February and March. So we're less than that. So what's it saying? It could be, it's not saying, so if we go to the next, we move the slide, it's not saying that the market is exceptionally more brisk or less brisk. We have been as high as 150 days on market for average inventory. At 147, we're at 146. That's pretty consistent. And of course, 154 was prior to the debacle. So you would have thought it would have gone higher than 154 as the inventory slowed. That's not what's happening. So there's some anomalies here, some things that are not typical with the supply and demand. The 43 days on market, again, for sold property, that's really brisk. We like to see that more like 70 days on market, but in this particular case, we've been averaging, last year we were averaging 70 days. This year we've been averaging in the mid 60s, higher 50s. So again, when we dip into 43, we'll watch this. That's in some instances too brisk. Taking a look at the list price to sale price retention, and this in combination with the average sale price tells the story. Because this list price to sale price identifies the difference between the list price at the time the offer was accepted and went into escrow. It's not the original list price, which would have been the OLP to SP retention. So we don't know in this particular chart, we don't know what it was originally listed at. But what's most important is it got play at list price and it sold at this particular price, and the retention of that was what? Well, we've said we like to see this at 97.8. I can show you history all the way back to 2003 that says that 97.8, 2.2% negotiation is the most typical number, the average number that we've seen in the marketplace. And so you take that and you look into the sale price, and what we're saying is, the seller right now is not giving up quite as much, about 0.5% less negotiation. And again, last week we talked, Mike, that it might be because of the fact that they're asking for more seller concessions right now. But again, that's really something that we're watching, and we're comparing those two numbers. Those are the two numbers right now that are telling you really what's happening. Is the seller really taking less for their product, or is it really just the standard negotiation? And to be quite honest, right now we're just seeing the standard negotiation. We are not seeing sellers increase prices because they can, and we're not seeing buyers being able to buy these properties dirt cheap because the market isn't collapsing. So I think those are the most important things that we can discuss in the market this week. But that's pretty much it. This slide shows you how you can see us, how you can hear us each week. We do update the Alexa Flash briefings every Tuesday, and you can see the slides and the narration on YouTube following West USA Realty. So that's the numbers, Mike.
All right, Todd, appreciate it as always. Thanks for putting those together for us. Very, very helpful.